If you're seeking freedom in a revolution, oh, if you're seeking freedom, you won't find it there. For once the guns stop blazing, you'll find it amazing how the world can drag on just as before.
And if you're seeking freedom in a marble mansion,
Oh, if you're seeking freedom, you won't find it there. For even when it's sunny, you'll be counting money, keeping up that showcase your face lined with care.
and if you're seeking freedom on a throne of power,
Oh, if you're seeking freedom, you won't find it there. For though men all obey you, what if they betray you? Tense you'll be and waiting for foes everywhere.
but if you're seeking freedom, cast away desires.
My heart like a beggar, you've wealth everywhere. For never can you buy it, grasp and you deny it. Freedom can be hoarded, it's free as the air. And if you're seeking freedom, seek it on the mountains. Got sunlight on your shoulders, the wind in your hair. For there's no one can hold you, boss about or mold you. Once your heart is free, you'll be king everywhere.
The voice of God calls us to awaken in Him. How will He find us when He comes?
Awake and ready.
And when He asks us to dedicate our lives even more perfectly, how will He find us?
Awake and ready.
Let's begin our service with a prayer. Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
friend, beloved God,
friend, beloved God,
great masters,
great masters,
Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ,
Babaji Krishna,
Babaji Krishna,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
beloved Guru,
beloved Guru,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
saints and sages of all religions,
saints and sages of all religions,
we humbly and joyfully bow at Thy feet.
we humbly and joyfully bow at Thy feet.
O Divine Mother,
O Divine Mother,
break down this wall of delusion
break down this wall of delusion
that separates us from Thee.
that separates us from Thee.
Help us to feel Your presence
Help us to feel Your presence
in our hearts
in our hearts
as Your unconditional joy,
as Your unconditional joy,
in our soul
in our soul
as Your unbounding joy.
as Your unbounding joy.
Give us Your grace, Mother.
Give us Your grace, Mother.
We are Your children.
We are Your children.
Bring us home.
Bring us home.
Receive us.
Receive us.
Oh,
Oh,
peace.
peace.
Amen. Please be seated.
I will lift up my eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the who made the heavens and the earth. He will not suffer
spiritual eye. Read from our affirmations for self-healing. Swami Kriyananda. This week's focus, which is humor. A good sense of humor is an effective means of keeping a sense of perspective through the trials and difficulties of life. By not taking things too seriously, one develops non-attachment. One should not laugh too much, however, lest the mind become light and one's view of life superficial. Thus, one needs to achieve a sense of perspective where humor itself is concerned. The best way to do this is to share one's laughter with God, to laugh with a sense of His joy within. Never laugh at people, but rather with them. For humor should be kindly, not sarcastic. Laugh with pure delight, and everyone will join you in your laughter. So the affirmation, say out loud. We can first repeat after me with a strong, conscious voice. In laughter, I recall my own mistakes.
In laughter, I recall my own mistakes.
Merriest am I when?
Merriest am I when?
By laughing, I include myself.
I include myself.
In laughter, I recall my own mistakes.
In laughter, I recall my own mistakes.
Merriest am I when?
Merriest am I when?
By laughing, I include myself.
I include myself.
A little bit of a softer speaking voice. In laughter, I recall my own mistakes.
In laughter, I recall my own mistakes.
Merriest am I when?
Merriest am I when?
By laughing, I include myself.
I include myself.
Softer whisper. In laughter, I recall my own mistakes. Merriest am I when? By laughing, I include myself. In laughter, I recall my own mistakes. Merriest am I when? By laughing. Silently, spiritual eye. In laughter, I recall my own mistakes. Merriest am I when, by laughing, I include myself. Taking it a little deeper one more time into the eye of infinity, the superconscious level. In laughter, I recall my own mistakes. Merriest am I when, by laughing, I include myself. You feel to silently pray. I delight in life's comedy, for it reminds me that true sanity exists in thee alone. Morning, everyone. Good morning. It's good to see you all. In case anybody's new that I don't know, but recognize just about everybody. Again, my name is Paul. This is Padma, and we're so happy to be here. And our topic is from Rays of the One Light by Swami Kriyananda, which is weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. And this week is First Things First. And it says, truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. That expression, first things first, is a piece of counsel that often is given to students of business techniques. It is the advice of practicality to those who aspire to worldly success. But according to the Hermetic doctrine, as above, so below, that which works best on one level of life is often the best guide to what will work best on every other level. If a person is true to his highest priorities, he will generally find that his other needs are fulfilled naturally as well. That is true certainly of the search for God. One of the greatest sayings of Jesus Christ was this simple sentence in the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 6. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Paramhansa Yogananda gave his elder brother Ananda a wonderful lesson in this truth. It was Ananda who had captured him and brought him back from his flight to the Himalayas described by Yogananda in Autobiography of a Yogi. In Yogananda's book, we read how Ananda later challenged him in the city of Agra to pit his divine faith against such practical worldly considerations as the need for earning a living. Fearless before that challenge, the young aspirant agreed to go by train without any money to the nearby town of Brindavan, not to miss a single meal in Brindavan, and to find his way back to Agra without begging and without in any other way asking for help. In one of the most thrilling chapters of the book, Yogananda fulfilled all the conditions of the test, and Yogananda continued the account. As the tale was unfolded, my brother turned sober, then solemn. The law of demand and supply reaches into subtler realms than I had supposed. Ananda spoke with a spiritual enthusiasm never before noticeable. I understand for the first time your indifference to the vaults and vulgar accumulations of the world. Late as it was, my brother insisted he receive Diksha, initiation into Kriya Yoga. As the Bhagavad Gita puts it in the 9th chapter, those who worship lesser gods go to their gods, but those who worship me come to me. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
Good morning, everyone. This is a reading from Whispers from Eternity, a book of poems and prayers by Paramahansa Yogananda. Driving the rebel king ignorance. O mighty mystic judge of life, I ask thee in my hall of soul's stillness, what is sin? Thy whispers of silence, dim at first, grew into bright articulations of thought. I heard and understood thy meaning. Sin is a rebel king. His name is ignorance. Ignorance is the perpetrator of all evil, the main root of the tree of ill health, the primal cause of all error and soul blindness. King Ignorance and his army of bacteria, physical disease, mental desires, dullness and false ambition, spiritual indifference to high truths, have been devastating the nourishing harvest fields of spirituality. That harvest of countless fulfillments was ripe for reaping when the harsh tread of error trampled it to the ground. I wanted to weep with despair when I heard thy voice whispering to me in my soul, the sun of my protection shines on thee always, equally on thy sunny days and on thy coal-black nocturnal hours. Thou shouldst always have faith in me and smile, for the greatest of all sins against me is not to be happy. Let the ripples of unceasing smiles play over thy face. Through thy transparency, my light will come to thine assistance. By smiling with determined happiness, thou wilt always please me. So today's topic is first things first, but we have to remember that humor plays an important role in it. And we'll come to humor in a little bit. First things first. So, you know, we're living in the world, and we have to exist in the world, right? We have to make things work. We have to make ends meet. We have to take our responsibilities seriously and work at them faithfully. We have jobs to keep. We have salaries to earn and families to maintain, right? So it's normal. Well, it's abnormal, but I'll come to that abnormal part. But for now, let's pretend it's normal for us to think, when that worldly aspect in us tends to think that it's important that I have this job. This is what's the most important thing in our lives, and then we'll probably start counting. Well, the source of income for myself, the bank balance, the welfare and the health of my, loved ones. But the divine in us is saying, wait, stop. Is that really important? What is the most important thing in our lives? There is, think about this, it's a little stick figure doll that's made of wooden strips and strings. Some of you may have seen it. And it's made of the jumble of little wooden sticks and strings. And if you hold it from any other place, it will not reveal itself to you. You will look at it and say, what is this? But there is one place where all the threads are knotted, the strings are knotted, and there's just one place. If you hold it, then you begin to see it's a human form, and you can play with it. And such is our life. There is one place, as Ramakrishna has said many times, you can put all zeros. You're trying to make a big number, right? And you put all zeros, millions of zeros. But if that one is not in front of that zero, it's a big zero. It's nothing. And so is also our lives. That one is the presence of God in our lives. And remember how in the Gita, Krishna is telling Arjuna, "Oh Arjuna, stay away from my world of misery." Yes, this is a world of misery. And this is a roller coaster. It's like a Ferris wheel. You're going up and you're feeling happy, everything is going good. And then you're coming down and now you're full of tears, and just the same relationships are not working anymore. Those friends that I made, what happened? That wonderful job that I used to have, what happened to that? This life is fleeting. It's always changing. One thing that we can be sure of is that it will change, right? That's the unchangeable reality of life. And so in all of this, we begin to realize, and I think I am speaking for everyone in this room, we begin to realize, so then what is this life about? We ask that question. What is this life about? What are we seeking? What makes us happy? What makes us truly happy? A happiness that will never go away. It'll be here today, it'll be here tomorrow, it will always be here. And so, how do I find that happiness? And all of these questions at some point we have all asked, and they all pointed us to the spiritual path. And it's all individual, and people who have found our ways to this particular place probably are vibrating in that same vibration of this particular light of the divine. That is that one that we're all looking for. That is that one that only can make us happy, truly fulfilled, not that bank balance. It never does. Not even those relationships. If we begin to understand the divine in all of that, even the bank balance and the relationships and that job that really sucks most of the time, begins to take on a different hue. It just does that. That is the nature of the divine. I step out and I see this beautiful day and I feel grateful. Oh, what a beautiful sunlight, what a beautiful sky, what a beautiful place I live in. I'm grateful for that. I look at my loved ones and I see God's beauty in them. Again, my heart fills up with gratitude. I go to the job and I cannot look at the negative sides anymore. I mean, sometimes they do overwhelm me, don't get me wrong. I'm not there yet, but I can see the potential, and I'm sure you guys all will also agree with me. We begin to see the potential of beauty in everything, because everything is God. You know, I felt inspired because some of you probably know this and others may not. We are celebrating the Divine Mother in India and everywhere that Indians are, and other people who again are in tune with that vibration. So Divine Mother is in the air right now, and we just celebrated Durga Puja. The Bengali celebrated Durga Puja. The Mahalakshmi Puja is coming up with Diwali. So this is an aspect of the divine that a lot of us vibrate with, and I thought I'll spend a little bit of time on that because I had this experience this time. You know, when I was, we were being led into a chant of Durga, and I just felt that the quality that she stands for, or that divine quality that she brings to us, is this courage, this divine. She's a divine warrior, you know, goddess, and she's fighting for us, and she's going to fight and protect us and help us fight our darkness, our demons. And so that aspect came across, and then I began to think, because the Bengalis celebrated Lakshmi Puja yesterday. So then, what aspect of the divine is the Lakshmi? The Lakshmi stands for beauty and patience. She's ever patience, and she's telling her children, it's okay if you're not still moving in the direction of God right now in your life. I'll wait patiently. You'll come by, I know. So she's waiting there with abundance and a lot of love and compassion and patience. And then comes Mother Kali. She will be celebrated in a week from now. And Ma Kali is, many people are scared of her because of her outer appearance. But she is the most compassionate of all. She brings with her compassion. She also brings with her speed. If you are a true seeker, if you don't want to be in this world of delusion anymore, then she is the one you want to tune into. And she might seem a little harsh because she is strict, and she wants your purest, your sincerest thoughts. She will not tolerate anything less, but also she brings with her sword this power to cut that delusion into pieces and to free you forever. So, in fact, that particular quality of the divine resonates with all truth seekers, people who are done up with the world, and I want to know the truth. I'm serious about it, and I want to renunciate all this outwardliness, and I want to go deep in, and I mean business. When the devotee says that, that quality that they resound most closely is Mother Kali. And we see this as an example of all the greatest saints in India have all worshipped Kali as their Ishta. And then I thought about Saraswati. There are actually four main aspects of this divine mother aspect of God is Saraswati. Hers is a very gentle wisdom. So if you are wanting to tune into that aspect, not quite intellectual as Master has taught us, intellectual is very dry, but that aspect that kind of goes into a self-introspection, she's the queen of wisdom and understanding, and her color is white. Kali is gold. We think she's black, but she's actually gold. Lakshmi is red, and I don't know what the color of Durga is. I'm not sure. So that brings us to, no matter what our goals, because we might all be having different goals in our life at this point. Well, no matter what that goal is, I think the most important thing to acknowledge is that beautiful song that we heard, Swami Kriyananda's song, the path to freedom. We're all looking to be free inwardly, so we can feel like a king, and so we can all be happy And not that just short-lived happiness, but long-term happiness that doesn't go away. If we are really seeking that, then we have to make God a part of our life. There's no other way. We have to. We might call that God anything we want to, but we have to make that a part of our lives. So we have to build faith. We have to have faith in our life. And Swami Kriyananda was very clear when he talked about faith. He said that's not belief. What's the difference between belief and faith? I may believe that you are a great person because I've heard good things about you, right? But when I experience those good things about you, when I've actually spent some time with you, and I know those qualities for real, that builds faith in me, my faith in you. That's the kind of faith that he's talking about. And so how do I build that kind of faith? Well, little by little. We can't take a big step. I mean, we can, but most of us will take little steps. I think the first thing is we have to make God contact. And the way that Master has taught us, at least in this path, is meditation. How else am I going to feel that presence? That presence that gives me hope, that helps me to feel that love in my heart, that just bubbles up out of nowhere. It's not a reactive thing. I know it's there for real because I've experienced it. And that builds that first step towards faith in God. Because what is God? I don't know how to answer that except what I feel in my heart when I'm meditating, and when I carry that with me through the entire day, the way I feel when I remember it, that's God to me. And so that is that first step. Meditate every day as much as you can. And there's no prescription. Whatever you can, that's good. God will take that. And so with that then comes, we need to visualize. We are a person of form, right? As Master has said it so beautifully, God is infinite. God is like the water vapor, right? We can't see the water vapor. It's there in the air right now, but we can't see it. But our devotion, our heart's love, will condense that into a form, and so we can see that. So all of these particular forms of Divine Mother I was mentioning, and it could be any other form, it's useful, it's beneficial. And if you resonate with that, because each one of us resonate with a certain quality. So whichever quality that we resonate with, or the one that we are most needing at that time, I think, we can visualize God in that form. Yeah, God can also be visualized. In fact, the reason why all of these masters are here is they bring a form of God with them. They are that finite speck on the infinite. And then there will come a point, it's always good to remember that yes, right now I'm focusing all my love and devotion to that gateway to the infinite, which is Paramahansa Ananda for me, my guru. But there will come a time when I will be free even of that, because Master did come to one of his devotees. I think I heard the story at Lake Shrine. There was this brother disciple of Swami Kriyananda that he had an altar. If I'm not wrong, I think he used to be in that windmill chapel. There's a room, I think, on the top or somewhere in there, and he used to live in that room. And I think Swami Kriyananda visited him and found he didn't have an altar. And he asked, how come you don't have an altar? And so that brother then said, you know, Master came to me and he said, whatever his name, so and so, you don't need an altar anymore. You can remove all the pictures now. You've gone past that stage. So it's good to remember that that is that ultimate state. When I am able to see God everywhere, both within me and out, in every aspect of life, in everyone I meet, in all creations, that's the time when I'm beginning to be one with the infinite. So priorities, yes, because we all have lives to live, right? How do I prioritize my life? First things first. What is the most important thing? If we all agree, having God in our life is the most important thing, because I can speak for myself, and I'm sure you probably have heard many stories. I could be bumbling through life, having no clue. Let's say I was given this particular challenge and I have no idea what I'm going to do. But if I started that challenge with a prayer, with a surrender to the infinite, saying, Divine Mother, I have no idea what I'm going to do, but you do, so please work through me. I give myself up. Now, some people will say, well, that's laziness. I'm sure you guys have heard that story many times, right? There was this report that had to be made on a camel. And so different nations were given that task. And of course, the Americans were given that task, and Americans are very hand-on. And so they said, we have to go to the Sahara, look at the camel, and actually, study the creature and write a report. And those were the Americans. And I think the British went to their museum, the British Museum, and they found all the information about the camel there. And then it came to the Indian. And what did the Indian do? He closed his door, sat in lotus pose, and prayed that a report on camel be dropped on his lap. No, I'm not talking of that kind of faith. So, as Master has taught us, if there is any challenge in life, we have to move energy. That's the first thing we have to do. We have to do something. I have no idea what I'm going to do. But I'm going to try a little bit of this and a little bit of that and that with the faith that Divine Mother will lead me in the right direction. So every time I've done that, I have always met with positive outcome, and every time I've not done that, you can imagine what has happened. So this is my faith. I've grown my faith to a point now I know that if I remember you, I know you will help me out. So I just need to improve my remembering, because that's where I fail. And also to remember that whatever little, because it's so easy to be discouraged, right? Sometimes it's just too much. As I was talking to one of my friends, and she was saying, Padma, it's just too much. How much more can I do? We are expected to do so much. And I wanted to tell her, and I did tell her, it's okay, relax. I think we have to learn to relax our heart. I read somewhere recently from another path that God comes to a relaxed heart. God will never come to an agitated heart. We might be agitated trying to follow His teachings. Then we're not doing the right thing. Let's take a step back and relax first. And in that relaxation, we will get clarity as to what is trying to happen, what I should do, and what we do, each one of us. I was talking to a group of my friends in our South Bay Center a couple of weeks back, and I realized, and I shared it with them, and I'm sure it's true for this group of my friends too, that if you look into each one of our lives, what we are doing, because we all follow the same path, right? We follow the same teachings. We should all be doing the same thing, but we don't. There is no blueprint. We decide for ourselves, and that thing changes as we progress. So there's nothing to be all tensed up. There is no one saying, you better do this, else. Divine Mother is not saying this to us. Relax, do your best, but be sincere, like Mother Kali is asking us, right? We have to be a sincere devotee. Have we done our, not 100%, have we done our 150%? 200%. Have we done that? And if we can truly say yes, then we know we are in good hands. The rest will be taken care of. We have to have that faith. If we make friends with God now, in good times, we will have a friend with us when things are not so good. And yes, those are the times, because I do think of old age. My parents, I've lost one of my parents, my mom, and my dad is aging. And when I look at old age is so ruthless and it's unforgiving. So that's just one aspect of life that is coming. As another story comes to mind on that. In Mahabharata, some of you may know this. In Mahabharata, the Pandavas, the 5 brothers, they were in exile for 12 years. So that last year, this is a story from that last year, they were trying to help someone. They were always trying to help someone wherever they were in that exile. And this was a particular demon that they were after, and they were all out in the forest, and they got really thirsty, all of them. And so I think the youngest, Nakula, went to get some water. There was this beautiful lake, but that was being guarded by a crane. I don't know the English of that. Somebody who was guarding the lake in the form of a crane. And he told Nakula, you have to answer first my questions, otherwise the water will turn poison and will kill you. Nakula didn't pay heed. He just drank the water and he fell dead. And this was repeated with his 3 other brothers. All of them came and they were lying dead. And then finally Yudhishthira came, the oldest came, and found all his brothers dead. And he felt, as he was about, because they were all very thirsty, as he was about to drink the water, he heeded to the crane's words, and he said, okay, I will answer your questions. And if you haven't read this part in the Mahabharata, I suggest please read. It's one of the most beautiful, deeply philosophical and realistic, and it speaks of deep truths. This conversation he has. I think there were 9 questions, but there were many subparts, so there were many questions that Yudhishthira answers correctly. And one of the questions he was asked was, what is the most amazing, strange things in life? Surprising things, the most surprising thing in life. And Yudhishthira answers, we all know that we are going to die, but we are all running away from death. That inevitable, that is all coming, but we don't want to face it. And so life presents itself with so many inevitables. There will inevitably be pain. There will be inevitably be sickness and death, and far worse than that, perhaps, unhappinesses. So amidst all of that, if you hold on, this is my grandma, she used to say, and I've always tried to remember that. She says, you have 2 hands. With your right hand, you're doing your work in the world because you've been given responsibilities, you are in the world, and you have to fight the world with your right hand. But with your left hand, you're holding on to the divine, and you can never go wrong with that. First things first.